Setting up a business, you go around looking for office space, right?
Yeah.
You negotiate your rental per month. Afterwards, you go around looking for furniture.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, this desk will look nice here. This desk will look nice there. Oh, this is the desk I want. This is the chair I want.
Yeah.
I also bought bin bags. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was no one else to do it.
Something that you probably would. I mean, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that.
Something
it's very awkward to see a bin bag in the office, but I can see.
100% Z and Afro on Power FM 91.3. This is Kwacha Kuseni with me, Black Gold.
And Jace.
All right, and it's Money Monday, okay? We are talking about all things money, all things finance, all things entrepreneur, and all things just knowing your financial environment and understanding your money and your financial environment better. And our in-studio guest right now is Mr. Mulenga Mutati. Now, if the name sounds familiar, you may have seen it here or there, but he's actually an actuarial fellow of the Institute and Faculty of Actuaries, and he is the president of the Actuarial Society of Zambia. He definitely has vast global experience because he began his career over 12 years ago working for companies such as AIG, KPMG UK, and PwC UK before moving back home to Zambia in 2021 to set up his own actuarial firm, Graylix. Now, Graylix Actuarial Consulting works with clients such as insurance companies, pension funds, and banks, providing services ranging from statutory actuarial valuations to insurance pricing, strategic capital allocation, and credit loss modeling. By the way, like I said, if you maybe recognize the name, he is also the firstborn of our former Minister of Finance, the great Felix Mutati. Good morning, Mulenga Mutati.
Morning. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. How are you doing on this chilly morning?
It's actually very hot, so I just got...
Is it just chilly in here?
It's just chilly in here.
I just got in from Egypt, so Egypt is currently really, really cold. I experienced in the winter. So when I got back to Zambia, I was like, wow.
Yeah. Such a shock.
No, it's good to be back home.
Like a change.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, it's always a pleasure to have you in studio. I know you of the Institute and Faculty of Actuaries and the president of the Actuarial Society of Zambia. So, of course, the very first question right off the bat is, what is actuarial science for the common man's understanding?
Yes, that's a good question. And I think maybe not even just for the common man, because I've been through a few sort of client meetings.
Yeah.
And when I introduced myself, I said, I did actuarial science, I'm an actuary. You see the clients sort of writing it down.
Right.
So
Yes.
clearly
It's something like...
It's maybe a profession that is not well known.
Yeah.
But so in general, we help financial institutions manage their capital, manage their risks, using a lot of maths and stats in the background.
Okay.
For example, if we think about for an insurance company have obviously got claims that have come through in the past.
Right.
We use this data to figure out what price they should charge for future potential policyholders or road users.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's very interesting. So basically, if you are going in to put in for insurance, you're the guy that says this is a good risk or this is a bad risk.
Exactly.
That's very
That's
interesting.
interesting. Like, what exactly do you need to do? I mean, before we go in further, what do you need to do to actually attain this qualification of actuarial science? Like if you're in high school right now, what subjects should you really be focusing on moving forward?
What's your path?
Yeah.
So maths is 100% guaranteed.
Yeah.
If you don't enjoy mathematics now, then I'd say maybe I wouldn't say don't do it. Maybe try and see if you enjoy it at some point. But if you know for a fact that listen, maths is not my strong suit.
Yeah.
Probably don't go into it.
Yeah.
Every day with my team, we've got Excel open. So all our work is just numbers, right? If Excel is not open, then probably we're not working. Or we're doing some admin or whatever. But if Excel is not open, then we're not working. So that's the first thing. So should be strong in maths. You should have a strong interest in finance and economics. And that's because you're not just calculating a number and say, it equals to 5 or it equals to 3.
Yeah.
you have to have the skill to explain what that number means in the grand scheme of things. Like I gave the example of insurance, right? You have to say, okay, we've done all these fancy statistics in the background.
Yeah.
This is what it means in terms of pricing for a product. So this is what it means in terms of capital for a particular company. This is the capital you need to hold just in case you have future claims or you need to pay future pensions. Right. So it's also maths, but also having the ability to think outside the box and understanding what that means in the context of what you're working towards. For me, moving back was always on the cards. It was always a plan. When I went to university, I said I'll just do my university and then move back, maybe get experience for 2 to 3 years and then move back home. And then 2 to 3 years became 4 years, became 5 years, became 10 years. And I think why it took so long is obviously having the courage to make the jump, right? Like you say, I was in a stable job. Career was going really, really well. Was quite comfortable if we convert the pound into into Zambia.
Recognize,
but then COVID hit. And then I had the opportunity to spend quite a lot of time in Zambia. So before, when I used to come to Zambia, I just used to come for holidays.
Okay.
So I used to come for maybe 2 to 3 weeks, 1 month at the most. And to be honest, most of my time was either spent at granddaddy's or Decapos in that time. So I didn't really have the time to sort of sit down, think about the market and do my research about who is offering actuarial services within the Zambian climate. Fair, you'd have a few conversations over drinks at the couples, but you didn't really actually sit down and actually go and meet the key stakeholders to figure out who's providing. There's obviously the demand, but who's actually providing the services. And then I found out most of these services were being provided by international firms. So the demand was there, but international firms were servicing this demand. So I thought it's time to actually provide local solutions to local problems. And that, I think for me, that was a turning point. That's when I made the jump. So packed away my life in the UK and came back home. Now that I'm back in Zambia, when people say, "Oh, how's it going? Do you miss the UK?" I'm like, nah. And I tell people these stories. I've been back to the UK twice since I moved back. I've always gone, like, on my trip is supposed to be for 2 weeks. After 1 week, I'm like, nah, I want to go back home.
It's hard to believe when someone says that. Like, there's always that pressure, you know, like any son, when a father has certain aspirations, there's always that pressure, like, I want to be like my dad.
And also when a father has reached and attained certain heights. African parents, I always say, tend to like impose a lot of their own.
It's funny. My dad once said to me when I was going to university, he's like, there's only 4 jobs you can do. You can either be an accountant, a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer. And I was like, no, I want to do something else, like accountant, lawyer, doctor, engineer. Pick. Okay, I'll be a lawyer. Accountant it is. So for you, was there any pressure to go into finance, considering your dad's position and what he's accomplished?
I wouldn't say there was pressure, but like, you know, most sort of sons, they aspire to be like their dads, right? So my dad's background story, he was an accountant by profession, right? So he worked for Zesco, he worked for National Hotels, and then he went into politics. I actually wanted to be an accountant. So without him saying, "No, I'm an accountant, you need to be an accountant," I wanted to be an accountant because, I actually wanted to be like your dad. Right? So come uni time, I was like, okay, I'm going to apply for accounting. And he advised me to say, you're really strong with maths, statistics, physics, etc. Why don't you do something a bit, I'm not saying accounts is not challenging, but he said a bit more challenging than accounting. No,
I'm an accountant and it's not as challenging as actuarial science.
Not even close. Not even close.
So that's how stumbled across actuarial science, and it wasn't even by me even knowing about this subject. It's obviously, again, doing research and figuring out how can I merge my sort of skill set in mathematics and my love for sort of economics and finance into one particular subject. And here came actuarial science. So yeah, definitely no pressure from either of my parents. So like my dad's an accountant, my mom's a doctor. So
wow.
I guess
like no pressure.
No pressure.
I like it.
No pressure. No pressure, but low key pressure.
Low key pressure.
Yeah.
Greylix.
Yeah.
Where did that name come from?
Okay, so it's an interesting one, and I get surprised that some of my family and friends haven't figured it out. They figured it out maybe after a year. My mom's Grace, and my dad's Felix.
Oh, that's lovely. That's such an homage.
You're making us look bad right now.
Yeah, our parents are listening like, you see?
Yeah.
Do you see?
See what others are doing for
a good child. You with your
That-
other names.
That is lovely. That is
Wow.
lovely. So speaking of, just you are the CEO of Greylix Actuarial Consulting, and having gotten past the terrible twos of a new business, the statistics are that new businesses within the first years are all but guaranteed to make a loss. But having gotten past these terrible twos where everything is new, everything is a learning curve, what have been some of the most unexpected challenges and lessons for you coming into, number one, you relocated, you opened a new business. What has been some of the most unexpected challenges and lessons for you?
Okay, so for me, I think the first one was I didn't realize how much admin is involved with running and setting up a business. So obviously, most of my life I was an employee, right? You go, this is your desk, this is your laptop, these are your login details, and you start.
Boom.
Right? Boom, finished. Setting up a business, you go around looking for office space, right?
Yeah.
You negotiate your rental per month. Afterwards, you go around looking for furniture.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, this desk will look nice here. This desk will look nice there. Oh, this is the desk I want. This is the chair I want.
Yeah.
I also bought bin bags. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was no one else to do it.
Something that you probably
I mean, I like that. I like that.
It's something
it's very awkward to see a bin bag in office, but I can see. That
somebody has to buy it.
Yeah, someone has to buy it. So I physically went to the shop, bought bin bags, bought water coolers, like everything. So it was a blank canvas.
Yeah.
Went and basically bought everything. I was dealing with the painters, the people doing the renovations, etc. So that's one. There's a lot of admin, and the admin continues because you're not just doing your work and trying to deliver for your clients.
Yeah.
You're running a business, right? So you have to also deal with potential employee relations. So you're also the HR person. You also have to be the person that has the strategy, and everyone is basically behind you, following you for the strategy that you're basically building.
Oh, absolutely.
And then the second one I think is I realized cash is king.
Yeah.
When you have a business,
Yeah.
you can have so many invoices out there, but if that cash is not in your bank account, you're as good as nothing. There's nothing you can really do. So all the plans you potentially have to grow your business have to sort of wait until that cash is actually physically in your bank account.
Yeah.
So that has been an interesting journey.
Yeah.
Because like I said, as an employee, month end comes, your cash comes in. Month end comes, you don't know what goes on behind to make that cash come into your account.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. That is very interesting.
What are some of your key tips to people who want to stand out and people who essentially want to close the deal? How can somebody who is sitting in front of you asking for a job from you get the job?
That's a good question. So right now the way I've done it, so before, I think maybe last year I was the main decision maker. If I want to hire someone, it has to come to me. But now I've given my team autonomy to do the hiring. And that's important because my team are the ones who spend most of the time with that individual they want to bring in. So they go, they hire who they want. And if it doesn't work, at least they now have a learning experience of, okay, this didn't work because I didn't challenge them on this, I didn't challenge them on that. So I give them autonomy to hire. But when I was doing the hiring process, what was important to me is, you need to understand the field that you're applying into. So actuarial science, like I said, covers pension funds, insurance companies, and banking. When I was hiring at the time, there was a change in the Insurance Act. Right?
Okay.
And that was very topical. If you worked in insurance and if you are passionate about insurance, you knew about it.
Yeah.
And I would actually quiz people who would come to interview about it, or have you heard about this? What does it mean for insurance companies?
Yeah.
And if you've got no clue, then obviously you're not thinking outside the box, and you're not as passionate about that particular sector or particular role that you're applying for. And for me, also persistence, perseverance as well is very, very key. There was an individual who came. We gave them an internship recently. So he was working sort of next door,
right?
Within our office block, he was working next door. But I had no idea, right? He had actually applied to Grelix before,
right?
But at the time, there was no position open for him. So I sent the CV to he's actually one of the directors on our board. I sent the CV to him and said, "Oh, this individual didn't really make it through because we had no position, but maybe there may be a position within your firm for him."
Yeah.
So he started working next door.
Oh, wow.
But he really, really wanted to be an actuary. So he came on. He used to, like, when I'm coming into the office, he'll come and say, "Oh, can I just catch you for 5 minutes? I just want to speak to you." Come have a conversation. And he also spent a lot of time with the team, speaking to the team, understanding what exactly they do. So much to the extent that the team is the one who actually said, "Oh, we need to get this guy."
Oh, wow.
We need to give him an internship. So it wasn't even from me. The team said, "Oh, we need to give this guy an internship. I think he's really good. I think he's the right fit for us within this business." And so, we gave him an internship. He sailed through it, and now he's a permanent employee. So that shows persistence, right? He knew what he wanted. Fair enough, maybe working next door was a step towards that, but he always had the goal in mind that I want to be an actuary, right? And I'll do whatever it takes for me to get there.
That's interesting. You know, like if you don't succeed, keep trying. And it doesn't really matter which avenue you have taken, as long as it leads you to your ultimate goal.
Yeah, exactly. Consistency and persistence.
Yeah, and it's especially when you did mention when you said, "Can I just get 5 minutes of your time?" People don't fully understand when someone as busy as you and you just say, "Can I get 5 minutes?" That 5 minutes is gold.
Yeah.
If someone says, "Yes, you have 5 minutes," let's not talk about the dog died.
Straight to it. Yes. This bullet pointed. Yeah.
I'm sure you can agree. Like if you say, "Okay, I'll give you 5 minutes," the last thing you want to hear someone saying, like, "So about yesterday and the dog," you're like, "You're not serious."
You're not serious.
You know, I've given you 5 minutes. Do you know how many people want 5 minutes from me? You know? Wow. That's good. So also like jumping into that same idea right now. We're looking at you're looking at now that you are in the space where you are an employer, and what is your most memorable piece of advice you've given regards to business currently, like ever,
or that you've been given,
or that you've been given as well? What's your takeaway?
I think one is perseverance, right? And it also sits in our core values within Grelix. And I tell everyone who joins this, before we actually got any business, it took me 9 months knocking on doors, right?
Wow.
9 months, you send a proposal, you feel there's interest, you're sitting with the client, they're interested. No, this is good.
Yeah.
Call me next week. Next week comes, you call, nothing happens. Next week comes, you call. I don't know how many next weeks I experienced. But then in my mind, I was like, no, the demand is there. Like this surely should work.
Yeah.
So I just kept on pushing. And what I did is, and it also goes back to understanding the service or the product you're providing.
Right.
Our initial strategy coming in was to target the insurance companies.
Yeah.
So I went to the Insurance Association of Zambia. So it's the body that looks after all the insurance companies.
Yes.
And then whilst I was there, they gave me one of their brochures.
Yeah.
And on the brochure, on the back, there was a directory of all the CEOs of all the insurance companies and their phone numbers.
Oh, wow.
So what I did is I just started going from A to B and then calling home, introducing myself. How can I come and speak to you just for 30 minutes just to talk you through the services we provide and what we're doing. Did that for a good 3 to 4 months. So much so that whenever I went to any sort of insurance event or insurance conference, they already recognize me. I've already had the discussion.
You've done the mileage.
We've already done the mileage. So I'm constantly in your face now, right? And I think it paid off in the end. So after 9 months, we got 2 very good clients. Yeah. And they've been with us since then.
Wow.
Right? So which also goes back to in business, quality is important, right? So if we got those two clients and the quality wasn't up to scratch, the chances that we'll keep on working with them would be minimal, right? Maybe after 3 months they'll say, you know what, all talk, etc. We'll go back to the international market. But quality is very, very important for any business, especially if you're starting out.
So, this is Money Monday. We are talking about just money and everything to do with finance, the economy. So you're in two capacities. You're an employer, but also you're a private citizen. You're an individual who is just going through the motions like we all are. And we have seen a lot of changes, especially in the last 2 weeks in our economy. We've seen Bank of Zambia push up the monetary rate. We've seen the kwacha appreciate. And we've seen generally most of the public having complaints of the cost of living, of the cost of doing business. So in your personal capacity as an individual and as a business owner, what's your general perspective on this? How has it been? How difficult or how easy, or just what is your perspective on the current state of affairs that we're in?
To be honest, it's been quite difficult. Like you say, as an employer, we've had maybe one person from out of the country. And when we had him, the dollar was, I think, at 17.
Oh, wow.
So when we had him, we're obviously paying kwacha. Obviously, it's a Zambian company, we're paying kwacha. So at that time, when he converted, he was like, okay, actually, I'm getting quite a good pay rise. But over the year, it's depreciated now at 24 today, I think, or 23. So obviously, he's seen a real reduction in his converted salary, right? Fair enough, it was more at the time, but he's seen a real reduction. And I think that also goes towards my other employees who are purely Zambian. The cost of living has increased, right? It makes it difficult for them to obviously plan. A lot of my team is just starting their career, so they want to get to the point where they can have their own houses, their own cars. We're an import nation, right? So, for example, cars. You may have been looking at a car, scrolling through the website. You saw a car at about 4,000 last year. Like, you know what? When I get paid, I'm going to get. This is the one. That's me. Now, it's obviously beyond your budget, because now when you're converting that currency into kwacha, it's way beyond what you're expecting to pay for that particular vehicle. So which makes it quite difficult. And what I've done, or what we did last year, is we had a salary increase across the board for everyone.
Oh, wow.
Right? Nice. So recognized the cost of living was higher. We needed to do something about it. I didn't want my team to start worrying about day-to-day finances as they're coming to work. So we increased the salary across the board in excess of inflation. Some people actually found a 50%.
In excess of inflation?
In excess of inflation.
Wow.
So some people had a 50% pay rise, some people had 30. Whatever.
First of all, even 30 is unprecedented.
If you notice, I just said in I had to make sure that part
was highlighted.
In excess of inflation.
Because even a standard pay rise will be somewhere between 10 to 15% max.
Marginal.
And that's whether you're in public or private sector. But to have a 30 to 50% pay rise, that's remarkable. As an employer, we tip our hats off to you. That's remarkable. And we are speaking about the economy, and we would be amiss to not ask this, okay?
But we will. We will.
Right after the break.
Don't you worry. We'll be right back.
All right, we are back with Mr. Mulenga Mutati in studio. And right before the break, I was about to ask a question.
Big question.
We have a pending question. All right. So, yes, we would be remiss not to ask you this. Do you have any political aspirations?
Definitely not. 100%
really?
not.
That's actually a bit of a shocker for me.
Yeah, I mean,
I think
why?
it kind of seems to me like it would be an eventual natural progression.
Like later on in your life.
Carry the torch.
No, I think one politician in the family is more than enough. Just like we only have one actuary within our family.
I don't know. You know what? We are going to keep tabs on you because I think it might change eventually. You might feel that urge and that, and sometimes it is a calling, that desire to take up that mantle, to carry the torch, to become a family dynasty of politicians.
Like the Bush.
And as the firstborn, you need to carry the torch. We need a next generation of Mutati.
Light it. No, that's interesting. That's actually quite interesting.
I would think that in the next 15, 20 years, people in the age group of 30 to 40 will be the next political leaders. So, I mean, what would be better than having a finance minister who is also an actuary? I mean, and I know him personally. And we know him personally.
No pressure.
Yes, setting those seeds.
Anyway, it's been a fantastic time having you here. And of course, before we let you go, we'd like to have your final thoughts, your final advice to that person listening in, that young person listening in who's looking at starting up their own business or company. What would be your final thoughts to them?
I'd say, final thoughts. Perseverance, like the example I gave you.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurship as well, and making sure that you understand your target market and basically rising above or differentiating yourself from your other competitors. It can be in the level of service or the quality that you deliver to your clients. That's very, very important. And just being reliable, right? Obviously, when starting up a business, there are a lot of SMEs that we dealt with. So someone's maybe supplying us with caps, T-shirts, or coming to paint.
Yeah.
There are certain situations where someone says they'll come at 14 hours. The whole day passes, they don't even call you. Then the next day you say, oh, where were you? Sorry, boss, I forgot.
Sure.
And then I keep on thinking, imagine I had a meeting with one of my clients. I said I'll be there at 14. Right, the CEO and CFOs are waiting,
and then
you don't call one, or if they are trying to call me, I'm not answering my phone.
The basic courtesy,
basic courtesy, and just being reliable. So for me, I'm never late to my meetings, and whenever my team is late, I always give them what's going. Whenever you're going to a meeting or whenever you're doing work, imagine this was your business. How would you act, or how would you do things if this was yours, right? And we're seeing an improvement with the time management, etc. Because it's very, very, very important.
Yeah, perception is key. I think perception is gold. It's not what it is and what it looks like. And if you're coming in late, obviously that's what everyone's gonna see. It doesn't matter anything after that. I waited. You didn't show up.
That first impression.
First impressions are gold. No, it's been an absolute pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, Mr. Mutati, for coming in and having this chat with us. It's been great to have you in studio. We will definitely have you back. Because we're trying to establish those connections for the 20 years from now when you are the finance minister.
Low key, no pressure. Low key, no pressure. But thank you so much for coming through.
No, thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed myself. Thank you.
Fantastic. Mr. Mutati right here on Kwacha Kuseni. Keep it locked on 91.3. Remember, it's #hits all day.